I want people to work with me to believe that money is good, is that they'll be able to do good things with money. And so that the more money we make, the more happy and more confident and more whatever we'll be able to show up in our businesses. I genuinely believe that it's my job and it's my duty to help our clients make the right decisions moving forward for their vision, for their business, and for their brand.
Welcome back to Life Worth Chasing. I'm your host, Chase Maher, and this show is about helping entrepreneurs build their business around their dream lifestyle. My guest today is recognized as one of the most requested in-demand branding experts and consultants in the world for entrepreneurs and small business owners. He's been featured in Forbes, Entrepreneur Magazine, Huffington Post. He's the owner of Strive and Grind, an international branding company that specializes in premium branding. He's recognized as the king of premium branding. He's going to be sharing actionable tips on how to attract higher paying clients and take your brand to the next level. He's also one of my longest lasting friends. We've been friends for a very long time. He is Kevin Stimpson. Brother, what's up? Welcome to the show.
Chase, what's happening, bro? I'm honored to be here. I remember you were talking about starting this thing for a really long time. So I'm really, really excited to be on this show and rock out with you, bro. This is cool.
Yeah, man, I've been talking about it for a couple of years and I sat on my ass for a little while about it, but I finally started it and I'm excited to have you on as, one of the earlier episodes. And speaking of earlier, we can have a little fun with this, but I want to kind of set the expectation for everybody of who you are and how long we've been friends. We grew up together in Virginia Beach, Virginia. We started playing basketball together, I think at age like 7 or 8 years old.
8. Yeah, bro. Woo! 1997.
8 years old. And a little funny story, my dad was our coach. And I want to kind of set the stage that I'd been playing for a couple years in the rec league. My dad was the coach and we did all right, And I remember going to like somewhat of a draft that they were having at Princess Anne Middle School. And you and your twin brother were there. And I remember my dad doing everything he could to tweak the system and jump in front of other people for draft picks. And he was able to get both you and your brother. And then I don't think we lost a game for 2 or 3 years straight after that. We were running the league. We actually got letters from parents from other players on other teams saying that our team's starting 5 at first couldn't start anymore. And then it got to the point where we were kicked out of the league because nobody was having fun. And I truly believe that was the beginning of the 4th and 5th place trophy era. So I'm happy we got out when we did. And we went from dominating basketball to, dominating business now. So it's a pretty cool story.
Yeah, bro. It's been a good 20 something years now since we've known each other. And it's cool to see how far you've grown. It's cool to see how far I've grown. And for your listeners who don't know about this story, like you said, we played with basketball way back in the day. We were super tight for, those first few years, 3-4 years of us hooping together and playing basketball together. But we went a good 15 years apart, right? We saw each other. We went to the same schools, said what's up. Maybe we didn't, but we just kind of grew apart. And it's really cool that 3,000 miles away, you would think that we never had that 15 years of separation and we're just back and more tighter than ever before. So it's really dope.
Yeah, man, it's super cool. So let's go into where Strive and Grind started. I know it's came a long way, but I want to sort of, I just feel like there's this thing that's happening where a lot of businesses are quote unquote blowing up overnight and entrepreneurs are becoming successful overnight. And we were at an event together last weekend or the weekend before chatting about how there was somebody there who a lot of his marketing and somebody that was talking about him kept mentioning this amount of money in 3 years. But you and I were like, man, after hearing his story, this dude has been in the same path for 9 or 10 years. So talk about how Strive and Grind has gone from where it was for so many years. I remember you selling t-shirts at ODU to sort of where it is now, and that it's okay to not be light years ahead of where you're at right now, and that it's a process.
Yeah, bro. So we definitely had many times where we evolved. It was definitely an evolution. We started Strive and Grind back in 2013. So this was during a time where, I just graduated college. And at the time, I I'm an IT project manager. My whole dream, my whole goal in life was to be a CIO. And for those who don't know, it's the Chief Information Officer of a Fortune 500 company. So my path was set on that. But during this point in time, bro, like I was learning and listening, listening to podcasts, reading books. I started to learn like, yo, other people are making money out here without doing the traditional path, without doing the traditional route. And, I was sitting on this idea of creating my own blog and creating my own thing that was mine for so long until it came down to the point that I actually did it. So back in 2013, we started Strive and Grind. It was a lifestyle brand for anyone who wanted to strive to achieve greatness and grind and get there. We had a blog that had 30,000 unique monthly visitors that came every single month. And we blogged about topics from everything from sports, careers, college, entrepreneurship, fitness, health, like the whole nine. So if you wanted to be successful, if you wanted to succeed, for millennials, Strive and Grind was the place to be for that. We had a full-on clothing line as well. So everything from t-shirts, tank tops, sweatshirts, hoodies, socks, like anything and everything, we sold it. We went all in on that. We had college chapters. We had brand ambassadors. We had sponsored athletes. We did live events. We were doing all of these things, but from afar, it looked dope. Yo, Kevin and Devana, they're doing their thing. But when it really came down to it, it was Devana, it was myself and her best friend Cheyenne. And we were trying to do all of these different things. So we weren't focused on the one thing at all. Yet we were trying to figure out like, why aren't we making money? It looked cool what we were doing from afar, but still at the end of the day, we weren't making any money whatsoever. And it wasn't until 3 years later that I hired my first, probably about 2.5, 3 years later, that I hired my first ever business coach. He said, Kevin, Devana, we love what you guys are doing. You guys are making an impact in the world. You want to put value out there. You want to help other people. You guys have created a great brand for yourself, but it's really confusing around what it is that you guys are doing. And that's probably why it's hard for you guys to monetize, because you're not focusing on one thing. You guys are focusing on like 10 things. So what if you created and focused on one thing? And what if you guys created a brand where you help other entrepreneurs and service-based businesses create awesome brands in a short period of time? And let's see what can go from there. So we shut down all of those businesses. We shut down the apparel business. We shut down the blog. We shut down everything. And pretty much overnight, we said, all right, we're going to figure this thing out. We're going to start a branding agency. Purchased about 10 or 15 branding books, read every single one of those books. That knowledge then became my knowledge base. And then we changed our website around. We did a full-on rebrand. Now Strive and Grind was a branding company. And then we got our first few clients. We learned from that. And then we started to create our own methodologies and systems. And then we've been focusing on branding, man, ever since. I'd say since about 2015 now to 2019. So for the last 4 years or so. And our main focus now is premium branding. So everybody else, like they brand for just working with anybody and everybody. Well, when I say premium branding, it's like, how can you be the Mercedes-Benz of your industry? How can you be the Grey Goose of your industry? And so that's what we focus on today.
Very cool. And so you've gone through this process of trying to do anything and everything, being a blog, being an apparel company. And I like how you said on the outside looking in, it looks super dope. And I think that's a trap that a lot of times we fall into. We see other people's companies, and if they're starting out, they're doing everything, they look dope, but they're not profitable. Or it is a company that's been around forever and they're doing a lot of things, but they started with one pillar, then two pillars, then three pillars. And so like diving into your process of how you made that change, it'd be really cool to hear, like, how are you spending your time now? Who's your target audience now? How are you speaking to them? How are you making sales? Like, what is your offer? Just to dive a little bit into like what Strive and Grind is today.
Yeah, for sure. So Strive and Grind is pretty much composed of two different parts of the house. One part of the house is the done for you branding agency side. So in a 45 business day time frame, if you have a new brand, we'll create a new brand for you from A to Z in 45 business days. We launch and create your brand in 45 business days. And then if you already have an existing brand, we'll rebrand to the new brand that you want to create that we'll collaborate on together. And then we'll create and launch that new brand in 45 business days. So that's our signature process, if you will, for the branding agency side. And then on the other side of it, and most of my clients come from word of mouth on the agency side. So over the last several years, I've done a lot of speaking, do a lot of masterminds, I'm at a lot of different events and things like that. So I'm able to get in front of the right people. But then also too, I've been able to grow my personal brand over the last few years as well on social media. So on Facebook and on Instagram and things like that. Kevin Stimpson being known as that person who created Strive and Grind that's helping entrepreneurs go from where they are now to where they want to be. Boom. So that's the kind of name and reputation that I built for myself over the years. But then now I have the second side of the house, which is the coaching and consulting piece. And so the coaching consulting piece for me is what I'm really, really excited about. And that's really helping people package, market, position, and sell premium offers for anywhere from $5,000 to $20,000 plus for what they do. So going after the premium market, the premium clientele, and helping them attract that. So how am I getting clients right now, bro? I'd say 100% of it is organic. So like I said, speaking engagements, connections, referrals that people I already know. And then also, like I said, being a part of certain type of communities and people dropping my name. Oh, you want to work with the go-to person in X, Y, and Z. You want to work with the go-to person in branding. Kevin's your guy. So that's pretty much how I've been able to get my clients from that perspective. But what's really cool is I'm cutting off 100% of the organic way that I've been making money, just burning all the boats from that perspective. And I've realized that in order for me to really get to where I want to be, the number one thing that I need to be focusing on is the paid advertising approach. 100%. So I'm burning the boats on all the ways that I've made money in the past, and I'm only doubling down and focusing all my efforts, time, resources, energy now into the paid traffic side to get more eyes and more awareness seen on my stuff, and then having people come through my funnel in a way where they get to know, like, and trust me, and I'm building that rapport. And this is cool, man. Like, I closed a $30,000 deal on Instagram. So here's something that's funny. Everyone's talking about you need a gazillion followers on Instagram. You need 20,000, 30,000, 100,000 followers. You need the swipe up feature. You need all of this stuff. And what's really crazy is a guy 2 Wednesdays ago, so not this past Wednesday, but the Wednesday after that, or the Wednesday before that, he reached out to me. He was like, hey, man, I see you help people with branding. And I didn't reach out to him. He reached out to me. He hit my DM on IG. He said, hey, man, I see that you do branding. Me and my partner, we want to create an education company that's helping aspiring real estate investors and people want to wholesale and flip houses and things like that, where we want to create an education company. Can you help us out? Can you send us information around your services? So I said, cool. I followed back up. I said, yeah, man, absolutely. This is what I do. I have the branding agency. I have the coaching business. Those are my jam. That's what I do. He said, awesome. What's the price points for those? Right there in the message, I told him what the investment was for both of those. And then I asked him if he wanted a calendar link to hop on a call. He said, yes. That was a qualified lead because I put in the number of like what's the investment is to work with me, but also gave him links to my stuff so he could check it out ahead of time. And we hopped on the phone that Friday with him and his business partner. And that Monday, the following Monday, closed a $30,000 deal all through IG, all organic. I didn't even know who he was prior to reaching out to me, nor did I reach out to him. He reached out to me. So my whole thing and what I love doing to help other people is creating that brand perception, creating that brand image, creating that brand identity, the aesthetic, the look and feel to get people to say, man, I want to actually reach out. I want to actually inquire about who they are, what they're about, what they do, and how they can help me because they look fucking legit.
Got it. Man, that was so good. So I'm only going to ask you this because you're my homie. I wouldn't ask anybody that I don't know, but why the fuck are you going to burn the boats on all the organic stuff when it's working for you? Why can't you just build a system to maintain that and then add the Facebook advertiser, the online lead generation on top of that? Because you built such a good business on organic. I feel like the paid ads would be a beneficiary to that, but why burn the boats on it?
Great question, bro. It's almost like I want to get out of my comfort zone, right? Like if we were to think about, let's say sports, right? We were talking about basketball. We grew up playing basketball the whole nine. So let's say that growing up, I can only go to my right hand every single time. I only dribble my right hand, only penetrated everywhere to the right-hand side. Never use my left hand at all. But what if for one full summer, I said, you know what? I'm not going to use my right hand at all because that's the only way that I've been able to perform, execute, score, and do my thing. I'm only going to use my left hand. I'm going to shoot with my left hand. I'm going to drive to the basket with my left hand. I'm going to build up that skill set because I know that once I'm able to just only focus and double down on that, follow one course until successful, cool. I followed one course until successful. That was my organic side. But I know that my business, to the height that I know I can take it, that would only be like 10% of my optimal, like where I can go. But if I were to go the direction that I need to go, which is why I'm burning the boats over here, I know that the 90% on this other side, this new territory that I haven't really explored yet, that I need to double down on, it's worth it to just do that. Because I will then say, you know what? Oh, this isn't working over here. Oh, this isn't working. I'm just going to penetrate back. I'm going to retreat back to what's been working for me in the past. So I feel like if I cut and burn the boats and kill it over here, then it puts me in an uncomfortable position where I have no choice but to win on this side. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I got you. You're basically eliminating the backup plan of retreating back to what you've been doing since 2015, which is, speaking and social media and masterminds. I hear you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I 100% agree, but hey, bro,
Yeah.
it's your business, not mine. And that's the beautiful thing about business is everything can be built differently.
Mm-hmm.
So I like it. I like that. Here's what I do like. I like that you're making a full commitment and not like hey, if it doesn't work for a couple of weeks because it's guaranteed to not work for a couple of weeks, I can just retreat back. So I like that part. But you know me.
You're a numbers guy, bro. Like you're super methodical, systematic. Like I'm not, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Like that's your approach. But for me, I know myself and I know procrastination. Just like for you, imagine, it took you a couple years. You've been sitting on this podcast idea. Imagine if 2 years ago that you made some type of critical decision where it's just like, no matter what, I have no choice but to create this podcast, and we'll see where it goes from there. Right. So it's one of those things, man, but I'll definitely keep you posted on how it goes and how it works out.
I like it. I still strongly believe that you're one of the best speakers that I've seen speak. And so I would challenge you a way to figure out what's a way that you can do, a speaking engagement a quarter and how to maintain your social media for organic. But I agree that the constant events, the constant masterminds you've been doing are probably distracting you from learning the paid ad side. So I'm with you, bro. I want to take back what I said about disagreeing. It's not that I disagree. You're just really good at the organic stuff, and I would hate to see you give that up. But I want to ask this. 2 questions. One, you included in your offers of your branding agency, the rebrand and the creation of a new brand, this thing about in 45 days or less. And I find that very interesting that you included that in as part of the sale on that. Can you talk to me a little bit about the psychology behind that and why you do that?
Yeah. So for us, bro, it just comes down to how can you stand out? How can you be different? So there's so many branding companies, there's so many branding boutiques, agencies that exist right now where everyone's doing the same cookie cutter stuff, or they're just upselling, downselling, offering one-off services. They're doing all of these different things. And so they don't have a really systematized approach to getting people those results that they really desire. And so what we did was we backtracked. We said, and we also looked outside of our industry. We said, man, what are other people doing in certain industries where certain things are proven to work? And one thing that I found is that when a lot of people, especially in this space, they get burned. They'll invest X amount of dollars into this certain thing. And then, 6 months go by, 9 months go by, and you're still trying to figure out like, what's going on? Is it working? The agency that we hired, are they still doing what they said they were going to do? So what we did, we wanted to create something super tangible and this is a big investment, right? It's a $20,000 investment to invest into this done for you branding thing. And so for us, the psychological standpoint was, if we can guarantee that you'll have a brand in 45 business days, would it be worth it to you? And the answer is 100% yes. If we're creating a brand for you where in 45 business days, you'll be able to charge 2, 3, 4, 5 times than what you're currently charging, and people are looking at you a certain way, and they're thinking a certain way, they're feeling a certain way, and they're saying the desirable things that you want them to say, would it be worth it for you to just go to sleep, and wake up in 45 days, and then you have this brand full on launched in 45 days? Now, we send our clients through the same process. We don't deviate. And because we don't deviate, That's why we get those predictable results every single time. That's why we can stick to that guarantee. I forget, is it Pizza Hut that has the 15 minutes or less, or you get your money back, where you'll have the, you know what I'm talking about for the tagline?
It's either Pizza Hut or Papa John's or Domino's, one or the other.
Yeah, I think it's one of them, right? But imagine if no one had a set guarantee, if no one had a set brand promise, and it could be 30 minutes or 45 minutes, an hour. Well, what's going to happen? There's nothing that they can stand behind and be like, hey, this is what we want to be known for. So we wanted to create a guarantee or a brand promise where, especially like no matter what, the only way it's not going to work within those 45 days is if it's on our client. If they're traveling, if they're busy and they're not getting back feedback to us in time and all of that. But outside of that, everything is on us. And what's really cool too is we put the transparency and the visibility factor into it. So within that 45-day time frame, our client knows every single thing that's going on behind the scenes internally on our side from day 0 all the way to day 45 when it's time to launch. So those are our ways to stand out and be different, right? Like, what's your USP? What's your unique selling proposition? That's ours. And so it's important for other companies to define theirs.
Cool, man. I love that. And I would imagine that throughout the sales process, you have a way of making the client, the lead, however you want to call them, really understand that, look, since we're able to do it in 45 days or less, and we're taking control of everything, you're not losing that opportunity cost of having to do this on your own. You're able to continue to go out there and sell, create revenue over the next 45 days. And then in 45 days from now, you have that brand rather than doing it all on your own and it taking 6 to 12 months and not really knowing where you're going. I also really like, I've spent a couple of VIP days with you. I like how you're mixing in like that consulting side of things throughout this branding process where you're really helping them develop their brand strategy and develop the DNA, as you call it, of their brand. So let's dive into that a little bit. How do you create a brand that has that process, that has that unique selling proposition that sticks out and attracts high-paying clients? It attracts people that want to commit to you and follow you. What are some of the do's and don'ts that you know of to really help people escalate that process?
For sure, bro. Like, I first love that you touched on all that kind of stuff, from the deliverability of the brand slam all the way to the consulting coaching side. I genuinely believe that it's my job and it's my duty to help our clients make the right decisions moving forward for their vision, for their business, and for their brand. Just because you're a fitness person, all you know is fitness. You can eat, sleep, and drink fitness. You can get people results from that. You eat, sleep, and drink real estate. If that's what you do, that's your jam, that's your sauce. Like, that's what you help people do. But outside the scope of that, it's hard for business owners and entrepreneurs to understand their message, to understand what they want to be known for, to understand what they want to stand for and stand against, to understand like what their vision and their purpose and their mission is, and crafting and creating a story where people are going to be able to like delve into that and be like, wow, I believe what you believe. Now I want to come follow you. Right. So if I can give an example here, let's think about myself and what I do. There's a ton of different branding people out there that does branding, right? But there's not a lot of people that do the premium branding. So that's the one thing that I would suggest is say, okay, the first thing that you're going to want to do is niche down. What is your angle? Just for like an example for fitness, for instance, if you help people lose weight, what type of person do you want to help lose weight? What type of person do you want to help, put on mass and put on muscle and things like that? So going back to my example, I'm like, all right, my people that I want to work with, I want them to love money. I don't want the people that I work with to be like, oh my gosh, like money's bad. I don't want to make too much money, because if I make too much money, people are going to think this negative thing about me. I want people to work with me to believe that money is good, and that they'll be able to do good things with money. And so that the more money we make, the more happy and more confident and more whatever we'll be able to show up in our businesses. Can you imagine if you're not able to pay your bills, and if you're stressed out and struggling around finances, how are you going to be able to show up as a leader you're supposed to show up in your business? So my job is to curate this story around, hey man, you either want to work with cheap clients or you don't. You either want to be the everybody else business, the everybody else commodity brand, or you want to be this premium brand that rises above your competition. Which one do you want to be? So I don't feel like there's enough people out there, one, niching down, not necessarily in the area of like what they do, but also who they want to serve. So if you're going to niche down into your industry. So for me, my niche is like, cool, I do branding, but it's a niche within that, premium branding. But then on the flip side of that, the people that I want to serve are people who want to charge top dollar for their products and services. That's it. And so now everything that I put out, the belief systems I want people to believe, the messaging that I want people to feel and move from, that's my angle. So, but not enough people are willing and able nor want to draw the line in the sand. They're not willing and able to be polarizing. They're scared of what people are going to think of them. They're scared that, they're going to turn too many people off. And I genuinely believe like it should really come down to, people either love you or they hate you. And people in the middle, they're not going to do a damn thing anyways. So you can also convert people who hate you into people who actually love you too, as well. That's the other thing that I love about it, right? So those are the few things that I think that a lot of people aren't doing right now. And the one thing that I feel like over the last several years that has given me the ability to propel is that, one, I've always been authentically myself. I never traded in Kevin and sold out Kevin to be somebody that I'm not. I still say yo from stage. I still dress and wear my edgy shit. And people who don't look like me look at me and like, wow, I want to be like Kevin. I want to say, I got my whole crew, everyone that we hang out with say the same exact words that I say. That's how you know you're making an impact. That's how you know you're influencing people. People think that my energy is too much because I'm just like, rah, rah, rah. Like that's my energy. But that's what makes me me. People are like, yo, Kevin's passionate. Like I can get down with what he's saying, or, oh man, that guy's way too much, right? So I think it's like finding your voice, finding your message, but also drawing a line in the sand too, around like what your message you want to actually put out there in the world. So you actually know who it is that you want to attract into your life, but also your business too.
I love it. And to touch on like Kevin's impact, a quick little story. A couple years ago, like 2 or maybe 3 years ago, Kevin and I joined this community, Billion Dollar Brotherhood, with our mutual friend, Nicholas Bailey, which Kevin, in fact, did the branding for Nicholas Bailey's company, Billion Dollar Body. And within a couple years, it was over a 7-figure a year company. So cool testament to Kevin, what happens when you use his product or service it and you apply what he teaches, it creates excellent results. But a cool little story was Kevin spoke at that first event, and I've always like been a big believer of how you look and how you dress, how you show up is your first impression. And so I get to that event and I'm like looking around, I'm like, dude, kooky ass motherfuckers here, bro.
What is going on here?
Yeah, like I'm talking baggy jeans with sandals. I'm talking polos that are busted and crusty as all get out.
Baggy ass suits.
Everything, bro. And Kevin did a talk about how you look, how you feel, how you dress, how you show up is your first impression. He helped Nicholas with that, and now Nicholas is dressing good. And a lot of people were affected by that. So then the next year, which was last year's event, I'm like, damn, half the room is like looking a lot better. Then Kevin spoke again at last year's event, right?
Mm-hmm.
Similar talk. This year, bro, I'm looking around and all like 90% of the room is dressed to the nines. And that's the impact that you have made on that one community. And so I'm excited for you to get on paid advertising and put your message out to the masses, because it's obvious that your message works and makes an impact. So I just want to say that again, that's something that I noticed that is super, super, super cool.
Thanks, bro.
Okay, so to create that premium brand and really accelerate that process, rule number 1 is niche down. What is your angle? Create your avatar. Who do you want to speak to? What kind of messaging? Don't be afraid to be polarizing and go after people that don't hate money. And then lastly, be authentic and just really own your message and own who you are. Because guys and ladies, people are going to buy from you because they like you. All right. They're going to think about how you make them feel. And it's okay if 50% of the world hates Kevin, because the 50% that likes him are going to give him a lot of damn money, and he's going to make a big impact with that. So that's okay. Share with me like some of the branding mistakes that you've seen people make. I know you got a couple pet peeves. So talk to me about like the jacked up stuff that you've seen out there that people are really proud of, that you're just like, bro, that is some ugly branding that just doesn't work. Let me fix you up.
Don't get me started, bro. Don't get me started. So the first thing I think the first thing I know that is a mistake that most people make is that they try to create a brand for themselves versus the brand that is going to attract certain type of people. And so they're like, oh man, like I don't like that certain type of color, or oh man, like that type of vibe isn't me. Like, oh, I can't do that, or oh, that visual presence, that's not me. But man, would it attract the ideal person that you want into your business? Because if you're not standing out, my friends, you're fitting in 100%. And so the whole goal here is to realize that there are hundreds, if not thousands, tens of thousands of people doing the same exact thing that you're doing. What's going to be that one thing that you can have to give you that one competitive advantage? So that's one. Two is the fact that there's a genuine difference between copying and modeling. So many people, bro, are just copying people to the T. And it pisses me off, like, bro, to the T. Like, no one wants to be original these days. No one wants to be creative. No one wants to think differently. And when I think about entrepreneurship and what it stands for, what it's about, it does come down to what makes you different, what makes you stand out. If you were to go on a show like Shark Tank, or if you were to go on a show like The Profit with Marcus Lemonis, and they were to come in, and whether they were going to invest or like come and fix up your stuff, they want to know like what's going to make you different and what's going to make you stand out. If your brand is going to have the same colors as everybody else in your industry, if your images look the same as everybody else, if your messaging is the same as everybody else, if your products and services and your offerings that you're putting out is the same thing as everybody else, if your price points are the same as everybody else, what is that going to do for you and your business? Well, I'll tell you what it's going to do. It's going to confuse the shit out of your customers and your clients and your prospects. And now in their minds, because we all know a confused customer and a confused buyer isn't going to buy from you. They're going to go to somebody where it's just like, oh, this is a no-brainer. It makes sense. But if you're confusing your people, they're either going to, one, go with the cheaper option, no matter what, 100%, especially if everything is 100% the same across the board. The only thing that makes sense for them is to go with the cheapest option so they can save money. There's no even value there. All they're looking at is price. And then the second thing is they're just not even going to move. They're just going to be like, oh, like this is cool. And it was a waste of your time and it was a waste of their time. So that's the one thing I see most people doing is they're copying. They're copying, they're mistaking copying for modeling. And because of that, they're confusing their people and they're just being a part of the Me Too business and they're being a part of the trash that's being put out into the marketplace. And in my mind, man, we're supposed to make the marketplace better. We're supposed to care about our customers. We're supposed to care about our clients. We're supposed to genuinely know what their pain points are. We're supposed to genuinely know what their desires are, not merely copying and pasting what our competitors are doing and then pushing that shit out as it's our own. I've seen so many people, bro, and even the gurus, like the quote unquote gurus, the people who, they speak all the time and they're making millions of dollars and people are looking up to them and they're making a big impact and they're influencing people. A lot of the shit that they're even put out is straight up copying, hijacking word for word other people's intellectual property. When and where is that cool? It's not ever. And so that's some shit that I really stand against, man. And honestly, you can hear the passion in my voice behind it, and I'm want to upset it a lot. I want to put ruffle some feathers with it.
I love it, man. You and I are on the same page when we see people copying others. I know you've been copied a few times in the past. It's almost laughable, and it makes me like want to do something I don't really want to do, bro. Hey, did you catch the Hotep Jesus episode on Joe Rogan?
I missed it, man.
Do you know Hotep Jesus?
No.
Bro, write this down.
Okay.
Hotep, Hotep Jesus on Joe Rogan. It came out like last week. Hotep Jesus is he's an African-American tech startup entrepreneur. He's like launched 3 different tech businesses and now he's a marketing consultant. And he's super, I don't want to say the word conservative, but he's not like this social justice warrior, Me Too movement kind of person. He's very moderate, and I respect the hell out of him for that. And he talks about when you're creating products or services or social media companies, anything like that, you can't just like copy what the leader of that industry is doing, because then you'll always be second fiddle to that leader because they're already that much ahead of you. He talks about model like what's working, but every new product or service is going to create new problems. So model their product or service, but then solve that new problem that's created by that leader. And that's where, like, when Facebook came out, they were solving MySpace's problems, and then like Instagram and Twitter and those, they were solving different problems that others were creating. And so I just wanted to touch on that, and I'm gonna hold you to it because I really think you're gonna like that episode. So check it out.
I will check it out, bro, for sure. Thank you.
Yeah, it's dope, man. All right, so let's dive into a bit more of like the ins and outs of your business. And I appreciate that we've gone over a lot of the branding, and we're going to talk about at the end of this how people can get a hold of you and how people can invest with you and take their brand to the next level. But talk about like your entrepreneur journey a little bit. What are some like mistakes that you've made maybe in the last like year or so, so that it's relevant, that you wouldn't normally share with people, but you will because you're one of my good buddies and you don't mind?
I love it, man. So in the last year, I would say that I spent way more money than I should have on stupid shit. So, and that's just straight up. So if we were to think about it, why are most athletes broke? Why are most celebrities broke? Why is that? Because they make an X amount of money, income's coming in, they're living a certain high lifestyle. And then if shit hits the fan, and then they're like, yo, where did all my money go? Like, it's their first time like stepping into this financial abundance type of thing. And so it's interesting, man, because for the longest time, like, you know, I have all these books back here on personal finance. I have The Intelligent Investor, Millionaire by 30, Building Wealth One House at a Time, Tony Robbins stuff, The Richest Man in Babylon. I have all of that, right? And so you read it and you hear it where people are just like, yo, right? Like, you want to make sure that the amount of money that's coming in, like, you're not spending it all. You're not doing that shit. You're not being like everybody else. Take this and put it here, move it there, put it here. And I would say, man, like over the last year and a half, I haven't been doing what I was supposed to be doing. And we hit like a really low point. That was at a point where it was super uncomfortable. It was at a point where it almost reminded me of like when you make it all and you lose it all type of shit, right? Like you hear a lot of millionaires talk about, yeah, you know, I made it all, I lose it all, I made it all, I lost it all. You hear people talk about that and you're just like, yeah, whatever. Until shit happens to you, you're like, shit, right? But now, but we have to go through these experiences because then it becomes lessons learned. We can hear other people talk about it all day long, but to that moment you go through it and you're like, shit, one, I should listen to so-and-so. Two, I'm glad I went through this experience because now it's that much more personal and I'm never going to go through that again. So I think that's one thing that a lot of entrepreneurs, whether you're making millions of dollars a year or you're making $5,000 a month, $3,000 a month, doesn't matter. Or you can be a broke $3,000 a month person and you can be a broke ass $500,000 a month person, right? And so the one thing I admire about you, bro, is like you've always had your financial literacy and your financial education down packed, locked, and loaded. And you're one of the only people, one of the few people that I really trust when it comes down to personal finances, money, managing it, and diversifying and putting it in places that it needs to be put in. So I love that about you. And then like I've even connected with you that much more from that perspective because you got that will of the house that I don't have down packed. So, but the good news is once I went through that pain, because bro, it was some massive pain. I was in a dark place and I was just like, yeah, I was negative as fuck all the time. And now I'm just on like the up and up. Like this last 30 days was more money than I've ever made in my whole entire life in a 30-day period. And I think that's something also I can give a big shout out to the man upstairs is that when your time is like, when you're having the lowest of lows, like shit sucks. Like when you feel like you're coming up from air and you go right back down and you go right back under and you feel like you're coming back up and then you get pushed right back under. You're like, yo, I can't get a break. What's going on? Just give me anything. Give me a sign. Well, all of those pains and sufferings and when you're at your lowest low, for me, and it's always been true, I know that like something amazing as fuck is about to happen. And that has been true for me every single time. So my first thing would be like the financial side, financial education, but also like being smart with your money and not doing stupid shit with it. But then the second thing is too, is knowing and realizing that every entrepreneur has gone through some type of depression, has gone through some type of mental health issue, like something. We're just like holding them back. And they feel like they can't breathe. And they feel like there's no way out. And they feel like they're not going to be able to be successful. And they fear of this and fear of that. But when you're at your lowest low, the one lesson I want to share with you guys is that I genuinely believe that when you're at the bottom, like right here, after you've been on a high and you hit that dip in a roller coaster and you're in that valley, something amazing is about to happen for you to bring you right back up to that height again where you once were. And so that's where I'm at right now. And I'm bracing myself for whatever that next low is going to be, so.
Hey, I like it, man. I think that like when we're up and real high, man, we don't notice like the chaos that we're kind of leaving behind us. And when we're down real low, we're kind of like in that chaos. And I would hope that the next time we get up and real high again, we've kind of like fixed a lot of those issues. So yeah, there might be new issues that come up, but like, let's not make the same mistake twice. So let's get into that a little bit. Like, what were you doing with your finances before that allowed you to get into that chaos? And then like, how have you sort of fixed those now so that you've like really built that road so that the higher income gets, the more investing that you're doing, the more saving that you're doing, you're living below your means. You're not just out there trying to showboat, and you're really putting a financial plan together that's like playing the long game. I know these are some of the conversations that you and I have had, but like,
Yeah.
What were you doing before that kind of messed you up? And like, what are you doing now? Just like a general overview.
Yeah, man. Like, I tell you what, one calendar year in itself, bro, we spent like $25,000 alone on just like eating out and just entertainment. And when you think about how stupid that is, and like that's someone in the Midwest or on the East Coast, like that's someone's salary, right? Like after taxes, that's how much money they made. So if you make $40,000 a year, you actually took $25,000 home, right? Like we took that and just was eating off of it, right? So that was one thing. So spending hundreds of dollars every single week on just like going out all the time, buying stupid shit as far as like clothes and just materialistic things that really don't matter, designer stuff. Like for me, for the longest time, because, growing up where I'm from and where we're both from, I never really had everything that I could want or have, right? Like my parents tried their best, they did their best. And I feel like when you have all this money and these financial resources and cash, well, what does that give you the ability to do? You fill that void of things that you didn't have. My mom and I was just talking yesterday, man, and it brought tears to my eyes as I was talking to her, because she was like, Kevin, like I never told you. She was like, if there was anything that, I did when you and your twin brothers and your brothers were like growing up and things, like if there's anything that I did that made you feel a certain type of way, I just want to say sorry. And I was like,
Damn.
wow, mom, like, yeah, shit, man. Like, I just started wiping my eyes and stuff, get teary eyed. And I was like, mom, everything happened for a reason. One, I want to say thank you for doing that. I know it took a lot for you to say that. But two, like, I love you. I appreciate you. Da, 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 da. And then something else came up where I was like, mom, you know what's crazy? Every single time Devon and I walk by Wendy's, I always reminisce and think about every single Friday when you got off of work, you'll take Calvin, my twin brother, myself, my older brother to Wendy's. And that would be the place that we would go, hang out, eat, talk it up, and like just have fun. And she was like, yeah, Kevin, like, oh my God, like every single Friday, I wouldn't just go home and like be by myself. It was all about you guys. It was all about the boys. And so I just got paid and all I want to do is take my boys to Wendy's. And when she said that, like tears just started like coming in my eyes. And I'm like, why was that? Because the best that my mom could do was take us to Wendy's. And I still have that soft spot today for it. And then for me, I'm like, what's the best that I could do with the financial resources that I have? Well, shit, I'm going to spend $200 on a dinner that don't mean shit to me. Bro, it got to the point that we were spending so much money on experiences that didn't matter, that when it came down to Devana and I actually celebrating like an anniversary or like celebrating wins and all that kind of stuff. We were just doing all of these things on a regular that it took away the meaningfulness behind it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So now, bro, I'm not doing any of that. I don't care about any of that. Like, man, I was like, yo, I'm about to get me a Maserati. I'm about to get this, I'm about to get that. I don't give a fuck about that right now, bro. Like my little SLK, my 2008, 2009 SLK convertible coupe, I'll just drive that thing till the wheels fall off right now. And when I let the top down and I'm rolling down California interstate in San Diego and having my deep house on and my hip hop on, like I'm in my space. So the other thing that I realized too, bro, is just like we all have to stop sacrificing our happiness to please others.
Boom.
We need to stop sacrificing our happiness to make other motherfuckers happy.
Boom.
Bro, if you want to do that, do your thing, man. I don't want to do that. I don't care about that. Have fun, bro. If that's what you want to do, you do it. But leave me out of it because I'm going to do my thing over here. And I know you're somewhat similar too, man, because there's been certain experiences that we share together where we're just like, bro, for the financial thing that we're putting out here, it's not fun for us. Like, I'd rather take this $500 or $400 and put it towards this, not fucking that, you know? So,
yeah, I'm with you, bro. I'm with you, man. I think that like we all have to satisfy like our needs, but like there are so many wants that people spend their money on that it's like, yeah, sure, a couple hundred here, 500 here, 1,000 there. That ain't that much. But when you add it up over a year and it's 25 grand, like, bro, I can take 25 grand and I can buy an investment property that generates $500 a month cash flow. You do that 3 times a year, boom, that's $1,500 a month. It just goes over and over. So I think people get in this trap of like, let me say this. I'm on Twitter yesterday, right? Twitter's crazy, man, because you really get a sense of like how people think. Whereas like on Instagram and Facebook, it's just a bunch of bullshit. But on Twitter, like I feel like you can really see how people think. And every now and then I'll look at the comments just to see like how ridiculous some people in this country are. So I'm on Twitter, right? And this dude is he put this video up. He caught this guy that had stole his like Jordans and his like Nike Jordan jumpsuit and all this. And he like caught him and he made him take all the clothes off in the middle of the Foot Locker store so that he could have his clothes back, which I was like, all right, he handled that right. I go to the comments and people are talking about like the guy, you know, obviously shouldn't have stole it. And they would buy that too and only buy stuff like that if you can buy it twice. They kept saying that like, man, my mama told me only buy those Jordans if you can buy them twice. So like, Kevin, how much are like a pair of like really nice Jordans? Like $250, $350?
Yeah, $200 to $250.
So these people are saying, and I'm getting like totally off subject, but this shit pisses me off. These people are saying they're going to go out and spend $200-$300 on some Jordans when they only got $400 to $700 cash. Like this whole concept of like, just because you can afford it doesn't mean you should buy it.
Yeah, man.
And like getting your priorities straight on satisfy your needs, be authentic to yourself and do what makes you happy. Like our friend, Amanda, she asked me about like my car. She's like, you love cars, right? I'm like, yeah, I want a Porsche 911, but I want to get the Porsche 911 when I can buy 10 of those motherfuckers. I don't want to buy it right now because I can afford it. I could roll up in the Porsche, but I don't want to because I want to put my money elsewhere so that when I do go buy that Porsche, I don't even got to work anymore. I don't have to keep working to keep paying for it because I can pay it cash 10 times.
Nor do you have to see the impact that it made in your bank account because right, like that's also the piece of it too that a lot of people don't realize. So I love that you saw that.
Our system in the US is literally set up to put people in debt and constantly be paying off debt. The monetary system is set up in a way that the richest people in the country are the people that control the money, and they're lending it out so that all the suckers can buy the stuff that they have to work day in and day out to be able to continue to afford, where the wealthy people are putting their money out there and making passive income on it. So let's start thinking about what are the wealthy people doing to get wealthier, not what the rich people are doing to work until they're 90. Yeah. And so I thank you for being vulnerable and bringing that up. It's obvious that we're both very passionate about this. We might need to do another episode at some point talking about entrepreneurs' personal finance. But let's move on because I don't want to start fumigating over here.
Yeah.
We're about to start wrapping up, and I want to get to how people can find out about you. I know you got some trainings coming out and stuff like that, but I want to chat real quick. Like, what are some resources or some people you follow or some guides or some books that have made a really big impact on you that I can put into the show notes, so that if people are like, man, I really like the way that Kevin's thinking, I want to sort of read and follow the people and the books that he's going after. Like, what are some of those big impactful pieces?
Oh man, bro, there's so many, especially when it comes down to books. Like right behind me, I have like a good 200 something books.
Let's keep it to three, maybe like one person and two books, or just three books.
Cool. I'm just gonna give 3 books.
All right.
One, no, I'm gonna give one person 2 books. The
Okay.
one person would be Ed Milet. No, not Ed Milet. Andy Frisella.
Okay.
Andy Frisella would be the first person, and my reason for saying Andy Frisella is because him and I are just very similar in the way we think, the way we communicate, and just our aura and energy. He's really hardcore. He's badass, but he tells people what they need to hear, not what they want to hear. So that was like, I love following him. And sometimes I watch him and it just calls me out on certain things. I'm like, yo, I need to level up. The other thing I love about following him too is this dude owns a, 9-figure plus health and supplement company. And he was well over 300 pounds, like years into it. And he was like, yo, how can I look in the mirror every single day in integrity, own a health and fitness and supplement company? Yeah, I'm fat as shit and I'm overweight. And he lost like well over 100 pounds, like probably easily like 120, 125 pounds. And that was like truly transformational for me, because he's making an impact for other people. He created this thing called 75 Hard. It challenged me in certain ways and got me to do certain things I didn't even think was possible, but also seeing what he's been able to do for other people. But also on the flip side of that, just calling out the integrity and the accountability part of ourselves. If we're going to be entrepreneurs, if we're going to be business owners, if we're going to be wanting to make an impact and influence people and live a life worth chasing and all this type of stuff, like we got to be able to look in our mirror, look in the mirror every single day and be happy with who we are, knowing that we're living life every single day and integrity with what we have going on. So that's the first thing. The second thing would be, I genuinely believe that every single entrepreneur, every single person who wants to win and be successful in life, they must want to know how to communicate effectively, know how to influence, know how to persuade, know how to communicate. And I genuinely believe that if more of us grew up in grade school with these different type of tactics and strategies of how to communicate effectively, no one would really be struggling financially. Everyone would be living in abundance and all that kind of stuff. So there's 2 books that I have in mind: Robert Greene's 48 Laws of Power, and then his other one would be the 33 Strategies of War. So those, and then my last thing that I would say, because I can't always be on point, I'm one over here, would be there's a guy by the name of Napoleon Hill, and he has a book called Outwitting the Devil. When I said Napoleon Hill, everyone thinks Think and Grow Rich, but his book Outwitting the Devil was way ahead of his time. And what's amazing about that book, I think he wrote it somewhere in the 30s or 40s, and he died like in the 60s or something like that. And he couldn't even put the book out. And because he couldn't put the book out was because it was so controversial. But what's crazy about it, once he died, the book got released. And what's wild, like super crazy about it, is that every single thing that he put out in that book, like decades ago, it's the same type of issues, it's the same type of things that's going on today in today's world and society. And that'll be like a really good read for people too. So that's my my resources for you.
Dope. I have read 48 Laws of Power, but I'm going to read 33 Strategies of War and Outwitting the Devil. And for those of you who don't know, Kevin is like one of the biggest bookworms that I know. You can't see, but right behind him, he's got like 200 books. He's like the Black Ty Lopez when it comes to the books, bro. And so if he recommends a book, I'll tell you what, it's a damn good recommendation. Thank you, Kevin. So where are you going in the future? Like, I know you've had some brand ideas that you've talked to me about. Like, maybe different social media strategies you've talked about, but like, let's fast forward like 3 to 5 years from now. What are you doing? What is Strive and Grind? What are you working on? Where are you at?
Love it, bro. So 3 to 5 years out from now, I will not be running the branding company anymore. I would have a CEO running it for me. I would own it and obviously have that CEO report to me. So I don't want my name tied to just branding. I'm also going to have a brand called Black Boss that I'm going to blow up and scale up. I'm really passionate about entrepreneurship. And so for me, I didn't feel like growing up, I had a representation of anyone who looked like me, who was crushing it in business. And the people who were, they were all entertainers and athletes and things like that. And so for someone to create a business from the ground up, I want to create the biggest movement and platform for aspiring and also current Black entrepreneurs. So that's one thing that I have that I'm actually working on right now. I have a podcast that I'll be launching here shortly and rolling that out. I know I've been talking about that just like you were for the longest time, but at least I took action. I got my little bumper thing created, right? Like my little graphic. So I have that going on. And then the other thing I would say in the next 3 to 5 years, I want to have a premium clothing line for entrepreneurs. You guys know I love fashion. Chase was talking a little bit about it today as I was speaking on stage about it at a couple of events. And so that's one thing that I feel like would be something I'm really, really passionate about and be really, really fun doing. And then real estate. I want to just have so much money in real estate and going in on deals and doing all of that. So you and I, bro, we're going to be doing shit in the near future for damn sure.
Absolutely, man. We'll be doing some deals together. I'll be making your money work for you. Trust me. I asked every single guest this question. For somebody that really liked your energy, really liked what you're all about, what is the number one most important actionable tip that they could get started on today to take their brand to the next level?
I would say the number one thing that you guys can do right now to take your brand to the next level is to, one, niche down, because you guys aren't probably niche down enough. Niche down, and then focus on an offer that'll stand out from what everybody else is doing. Get predictable results from that. So niche down, create an offer that is valuable and it's not copying, but it is modeling, but it's something that's unique and different that would be seen as value. And then get people to go through that process, get results, and then increase your price points. That would be like the tactical, like step-by-step that I would have people do.
Okay, so niche down, create an irresistible offer, help people get results, raise prices, repeat.
Yes, my man.
Got it. All right, Kevin. So I know you got a pretty dope training out right now. If people are like, man, I want to like see more about what Kevin has to offer, where do they go? And I'm going to put all these in the show notes, everybody. I'm going to put his socials. I'm going to put links to the books. Where do they find some more information about you and your training?
Cool. So you can find info about me at kevinstimpson.com and striveinggrind.com. But more specific to the training, it's all about how to be a highly paid expert and make your first 6 figures by being a highly paid expert. And this training is curated and created in a way where you can charge anywhere from $5,000 to $20,000 for what it is that you're currently doing right now. And you can learn more about that at kevinstimpson.com/masterclass.
Okay. So kevinstimpson.com/masterclass. And then is it striveandgrind.com?
Strive, the letter N, grind.com.
And then what are your social handles?
Kevin Stimpson across the board. And then for IG, it's _Stimpson, Kevin_Stimpson.
I'm just writing that down. I'm going to put them in the show notes. I appreciate you, man. This was a kick-ass episode. If you listen to this, I know there are a ton of tips. I highly encourage you to rewind it again, listen to it again, because Kevin dropped some bombs. And if you really liked the show and you want me to bring Kevin back on, shoot me a DM, share it on social media so that I can do that. And go follow Kevin, check out his training. Yeah, man, I appreciate you, man. This was a kick-ass show.
Chase, bro, thanks for having me, man. This has been fun. It's been awesome. And to all the homies that's listening right now, keep striving, keep grinding. I'm out. Peace.
Boom. Thanks for listening to Life Worth Chasing with me, your host, Chase Maher. If you like the show, smash that subscribe button. Leave me a rate and review. You know what? Screenshot the show, share it on Instagram, tag me at I am Chase Maher, and I'll repost it. There's hundreds of thousands of podcasts out there, and you've made the decision to listen to mine, which is so cool. I'll see you on the next show.